I went to go meet him one day, and his office was dark, and he wasn't there, and he was a workaholic, so it was completely unusual for that to be the case. And I just had this sinking feeling that something terrible had happened, and it had never crossed my mind in the past. He was very narcissistic and not someone who you would ever think would take their life. But ultimately, I found him hanging in the house that he had moved into.
Oh, my God. So you found him.
I did.
Now, how do you tell your 5-year-old that happened to Daddy?
Well, unfortunately, she was in the car.
Oh, okay.
With my assistant, and I had gone to the house. I had been calling him all day, no answer, and I just knew something had gone wrong. And I went to the house. I had a friend of mine's husband meet me there who was a world championship kickboxer, just in case things were to go awry. And my little girl was in the car with my assistant, again, because I never assumed it was going to be something so catastrophic. And after I found him, I ran into the street where they were parked, and I was on the ground and quite hysterical, of course. And then all of a sudden it just occurred to me that she was there. And so we had her nanny come to the end of the street, and my assistant drove her down so that the emergency vehicles, and it wouldn't be any more of a chaotic scene than it already was. But, the 911 tapes are out there, and they're pretty dramatic, and it's stuff that unfortunately is on the internet, and I have spoken with my daughter about it to the extent that I feel is appropriate for her age.
Right.
But after the suicide, speaking of the abuse and having children in the home, I always felt that I had shielded Kennedy from knowing what was going on.
Right.
Because we had a live-in nanny, and he would get home after she went to bed because she was little.
Right.
And, those things happen behind closed doors. But I was driving her to school one day, and she was in her car seat, and my psychiatrist had said to continue to bring up her father to her so that she doesn't think people just disappear.
Right.
And I was saying, "Do you miss Daddy?" And she said, "No, N-O." And I said, "Well, I miss him sometimes. Like, do you remember when we went to Hawaii?" And I was trying to give her some references, and she waited for a minute, and then she said, "Mommy, why would you miss a boy that screamed at you all the time?"
So listeners, like we always tell you, they soak all of this up. They get it. They process it. It stays with them. Shield them as much as you can, but know that even if it's just your mood, your vibe, whatever's going on, they're getting it.
They are getting it. And that was... thank goodness she was sitting behind me, because I had tears running down my face, just feeling like I thought I had done a better job of protecting her.
Did you ever worry that he would become violent with her?
I didn't worry about that. He had 2 children prior, and I had never seen him be violent with them. I mean, raise his voice. He was definitely a hothead, but nothing physical. I did worry, though, about filing for divorce because he was a rageaholic, and although he had never done anything in front of me to any of the children, I was very scared. And I think a lot of women who are considering divorce, who have a violent partner or a partner with a bad temper, are worried about what that custody time with them is going to look like. And when you're completely away, you're not feeling like you can protect them. It's another scary step in the process.
Absolutely.